What if the biggest threat to your real estate business in 2026 is hiding in the habits that used to work well enough? The market covered a lot for a while. Follow up could be loose, buyer consults could be skipped, team standards could live in someone's head. And because the market kept moving, it all felt fine until it didn't. That's the conversation I think more real estate leaders need to have right now. For a long time, the market gave agents momentum. Low inventory, fast decisions, cheap money, and heavy demand covered a lot of loose habits. An agent could miss follow-up and still find another deal. A team could run with unclear standards and still look productive. A leader could lean mostly on personality, energy, and motivation, and the business still moved. That season taught some people the wrong lesson. It made casual real estate look more durable than it really was. The next version of this business is going to reward process, standards, skill, client trust, smart technology, and leaders who actually build operators. Before we get into it, hit like if you want more operator level conversations like this, subscribe if you're building a stronger real estate business this year, and drop a comment with the part of your business that needs the most structure right now. I'm not here to call agents lazy. That's too easy, and it misses the real issue. The market changed. The old environment let casual habits survive longer than they should have. When homes sold quickly, weak follow-up didn't always hurt right away. When sellers had leverage, shallow pricing conversations were easier to get through. When buyers felt urgency, some agents could open doors first and explain value later. That window is closing. In Houston right now, we're looking at 4.7 months of supply, 67 days on market, and a median price around $330,000, down 1.5% year over year. That's a market where buyers have more room to think. Sellers need better counsel, and agents need stronger operating habits. The first pillar is process. Casual agents relied on market momentum. Serious agents rely on process. Process sounds boring until you watch deals leak without it. Leads sit too long. CRM stages get messy. Buyer consultations get skipped because the agent wants to rush to the showing. Seller updates become reactive because nobody has a communication rhythm. Social media turns into random posting. Post-close nurture disappears until the next time someone needs a referral. A real process gives agents something to stand on when the market isn't handing out easy momentum. In 2026, a serious process looks less like a complicated manual and more like a few dependable rhythms that happen every week. You review the pipeline, follow up with the database, prepare buyers before the first tour. You communicate with sellers before they have to ask, and practice pricing conversations before the appointment gets tense. If you're running a team, start where deals usually leak and build simple standards there first. Those places will tell you pretty quickly whether the business is being operated or just reacted to. The second pillar is standards. A lot of teams are really just loose collections of strong personalities. One agent is great on the phone, another is great at open houses, someone else is strong with negotiation, another person is better at content. That mix can create energy, and energy matters. Still, personality can't carry the whole operating system. Remember this, a team without standards is just a group chat with a logo. That may sting a little, but most operators know exactly what it means. When every agent gets to define good for themselves, the client experience changes from person to person. That's a risky way to build. Standards should cover the moments that affect trust. I'm talking about how quickly people hear back from you, how consistently the CRM is used, how leads are handled, how buyer consultations are delivered, how sellers are updated, how listings are prepared, how negotiations are reviewed, and how compliance gets checked before something becomes a problem. The goal is a consistent client experience and a fair development path for agents. When the standard is clear, coaching gets easier. Accountability gets less emotional. The leader isn't arguing about preferences anymore. Everyone can point to the standard and ask, did the work meet it? The third pillar is buyer representation. Written buyer agreements change the buyer-agent relationship. Agents now have to explain value before the client gets in the car. That's a skill issue. And on a team, skill issues become leadership issues. A lot of agents were trained by the old rhythm of the business. Send listings, open doors, be available, win trust as the search goes along. Buyers still need responsiveness, of course. They also need clarity before the search gets moving. They need to understand who represents them, how compensation works, what the service experience looks like, what their affordability really means, how the search will be handled, and how the agent will help when the process gets stressful. I think the buyer consultation is becoming the new listing presentation. A listing presentation has always forced agents to explain strategy, process, pricing, marketing, and value. Buyer consultations now deserve that same level of seriousness. A team should have a buyer consultation framework agents can practice. The framework should help agents explain the agreement, communicate value clearly, talk about compensation without getting weird, handle affordability anxiety, and set expectations before the first tour. Those conversations are too important to leave to improv. This is where role play earns its keep. I know plenty of agents don't love it. I get it. Nobody's excited to practice the uncomfortable conversation in front of other people. Still, clients shouldn't be the first people who hear an agent explain buyer representation. Practice creates calm. Calm creates trust. Trust creates better decisions. If you're leading agents, buyer representation training has to become part of the weekly rhythm, especially for newer agents and for experienced agents who built their habits in a different market. The fourth pillar is development. Retention in 2026 can't run on team energy alone. Culture matters. Encouragement matters. People want to feel supported. I'm all for that. Agents stay longer when they're getting better. They stay when they can feel their skill improving, when they see a path, and when someone helps them move from activity to capability. A hype meeting may lift someone for an hour. A real development system changes how they work the next day. That's what stronger agents are looking for. Real development includes the work that actually changes agent behavior, practicing hard conversations, reviewing the pipeline, debriefing deals, studying the market, coaching specific skills, and building accountability that fits the agent stage. A brand new agent doesn't need the same coaching as a 5-year agent who's stuck at a production ceiling. A strong buyer agent who wants listings needs a different plan than a listing agent who wants to build a team. When every agent gets the same meeting, the same motivation, and the same advice, the highest drive people eventually feel unseen. Development has to get more specific. Deal debriefs are one of the most underused tools in real estate. After a closing, sit down and ask what created the opportunity, where trust was built, what almost went sideways, what the client needed most, and what should become a standard next time. After a lost client, ask the same questions. No blame, just learning. Teams that debrief get smarter faster because the business stops losing lessons inside individual transactions. That's how a team matures. You stop relying on everyone to learn privately, and you start turning experience into shared standards. The fifth pillar is AI. AI should raise the floor for the team. It should help agents start from a stronger first draft instead of a blank screen. That might show up in listing copy, market reports, buyer education, follow-up planning, social content, CRM cleanup, client communication prep, objection practice, or meeting summaries. AI can make a serious operator faster. It can also help a developing agent avoid starting from zero. Used well, it gives admin better drafts, agents better preparation, and leaders better visibility into patterns. AI doesn't replace judgment or standards. It doesn't replace compliance review or client care. If anything, AI makes leadership more important because the team needs rules for how it gets used. Leaders need to decide what agents can draft with AI, what needs human review, where facts get verified, how client data is protected, what tone represents the team, and which prompts are safe enough to use again. A casual team plays with tools. A serious team turns useful tools into safe, repeatable workflows. NAR's technology survey makes this point pretty clearly. Social media is still one of the top lead-generating tools. CRM matters, and a lot of agents are still learning emerging technology. So the gap usually isn't access to tools. The gap is leadership around the tools. A team can have a CRM and still have weak follow-up. It can have AI and still produce generic content. It can post every day and still have no strategy. Technology helps when it sits inside a system. Without that system, it becomes another login people ignore. This is the filter year. I don't mean that as a scare tactic. The market is filtering for better operating habits. Buyers are more careful. Sellers need better counsel. Inventory gives people more choices. Written buyer agreements require clearer value conversations. Agents are adopting more tech, while many are still learning how to use it well. The teams that win now will probably feel less casual on the inside because the structure is stronger, the meetings are better, the buyer consultations are sharper, the follow-up is tighter, AI is used with more judgment, and agent development is taken more seriously. This is where Real Edge Network fits naturally. We talk so much about systems, AI, agent development, and leadership because team growth is getting more demanding. We give serious operators a place to think through the practical side. how to support agents, how to build workflows, how to raise the floor, how to use AI responsibly, and how to keep the client experience strong while the business grows. If you're leading agents or you're the kind of agent who wants to become the person others trust, I'd start with a simple audit this week. Pick one pillar and score it honestly from 1 to 5. Then ask what would need to be happened for that area to move up 1 point in the next 30 days. Don't try to rebuild the whole business overnight. Pick the weakest operating habit and make one clean upgrade. Build a standard, train a conversation, fix a follow-up gap, or create one AI workflow. Small operating upgrades compound. Casual real estate worked when the market carried more of the weight. Serious real estate requires stronger operators. That doesn't mean colder businesses. It means better prepared agents, clearer expectations, cleaner communication, smarter systems, and deeper client trust. The best teams are going to feel more professional and more human at the same time. That's the standard I think this market is pushing us toward. If this gave you something useful, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which pillar your business needs to tighten first. And if these are the kinds of leadership questions you're working through, hit us up and let's talk. We'll go through the real problems, the real systems, and what stronger leadership needs to look like now. I'll see you on the next one.